You're listening to the In This League Fantasy Podcast Network at inthisleague.com. Download, lock in, and puck up. Hockey is here, and we've got the #1 podcast for fantasy hockey. It's the Roto Hockey Show with your hosts, Tony Healey and Brian Matthews.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Hello and welcome to the Roto Hockey Show. I'm Tony Healey here with Brian Matthews, ready to talk a little fantasy hockey. All right, continuing week 16 of the fantasy hockey season because of the All-Star break. For most of us, I think on ESPN we're not. I think it's moved to week 17. I don't know.
It could have, yeah. It may have. It did. Yes.
Everybody's all over.
I know. It's been like dragging on. It's like, oh, come on, let's go.
No, it was good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a bit long, the All-Star break, not the All-Star game, the break. It seemed like it was excessive. Maybe it's because you had the 2 NHL bye weeks prior to that, so it felt like it was just like not a lot of hockey the past couple weeks. And again, they do that, and then we can't go and have NHL players in the Olympics, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say, get rid of the All-Star break, get rid of the bye weeks, and have an All-Star break.
You want to know what the best
All-Star break, have an Olympic break.
Do you want to know what the best All-Star game would have been this year? The Olympics.
Yeah.
Those All-Star games I would have watched. Although I do have to admit, I actually was out on Sunday. Sunday it was, right? The All-Star game?
Yep.
And I did catch the second game and then the final. And I have to admit that the way that they have changed the format makes it infinitely a better watch and more interesting than what we grew up watching as the All-Star game, just a normal game where guys like could care less. I like the 3-on-3. I like kind of the intra-conference game and then followed by like the little final 3-on-3 game. It makes for some fun hockey.
I think so. The 3-on-3 is great. My son and I have not been able to sit down and watch it. We recorded it. We were busy all weekend. We did watch the skills competition, and I don't care what anybody says, how old I am, doesn't matter. I still love the skills competition. I don't care what it is.
I watched later on. I obviously did not watch any of this live, but when I found out Eichel was doing the fastest skater competition, because during the day on the Twitter, I saw that McDavid obviously was going to be in. And then they said a bunch of guys were like hesitant to get in there because they want to get beat by McDavid. Then I saw McKinnon and Eichel were like, yeah, we'll do it. And I was like, oh, it's on. I like this. Those are like 3 legit dudes. And so I watched it. And obviously McDavid won.
He did.
Braden Point flying while he was out there. Eichel, I think he could have done better. He had a little like slip on his start, kind of peeled out a little bit, but I mean, he was
it was so funny.
So, I mean, again, that made for a good one. And then the accuracy shooting one was great.
Yeah, that was fun. Brock Bozier or
Besser.
Jeez, I did it again.
Oh, come on.
Brock Besser. He was fantastic. He really, really was. Yeah. But the speed competition was great. Yeah. We were watching it, and I'm watching it with my son, and before they announced it, I swear to God, before they announced it, I said, oh, yeah, no, his time's going to be low. Watch him. He's coasting around the back of the net instead of doing crossovers. No sooner do I say that than do they cut and show that clip. And they're like, yeah, that's where he lost his speed, was not crossing over behind the net.
You sound like you know what you're talking about, see? You should be an announcer.
He looks at me. He's like, wow, Dad. Yeah. I guess you do know what you're talking about. You're not such an idiot.
This is good that, it's when you're not only coaching him one-on-one, but when you're coaching the team, that he'll listen to you a little more now. One of my favorite highlights, Tone, was that Hillary Knight went out there and competed in the accuracy competition and finished. I want to say she finished second overall, that her numbers in calculated ended up being second. I mean, it was crazy to watch her. She was just like, boop, 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 done. And I like it that they have like the little light up targets that change. It's not just shoot at the 5 discs and whenever they're broken, they're gone. It like changes to be like, okay, shoot here now, shoot here now, shoot here now, shoot here now. A little better. So again, an enjoyable weekend. It's definitely for fans like your son and the younger fans out there, more than it is for you and I and probably many of our listeners. But it allows the guys to cut loose. Although like we said, we have to suffer for a few extra days of no real hockey, but making up for it. Gosh, tonight, I think, isn't it? That we've got a whole bunch of games going down.
Yeah, lots. Tonight, yes, Tuesday had a lot of games too. So it's just been one of those weeks. They're going to have to pack all these games in now, the second half of the season, since bye weeks are over.
Right. Yeah, I think next week, and we'll mention it in a little while, I think half the league is playing 4 games next week.
Yeah. Now, we have one other thing to get to here at the top of the show. We wanted to give a shout out to one of our longtime listeners from the beginning.
Yes, patron and a listener from day one.
That's right, Thunder.
Yeah.
Who, because of his trip to Mexico on his honeymoon, was able to get you to give us the Mexican toilet water story.
He did originate that because he went on that trip. You're right.
He did.
That's another contribution he's made to this program.
Well, Thunder and his wife have a semi-new baby that's 4 months old now, but we're just getting the shout out now because we just found out about it. So
awesome.
Congratulations, you two. Enjoy. I hope baby Thunder is excited for fantasy hockey soon.
Yeah, exactly. I hope Thunder, you are providing as much assistance to the missus and the newborn as you have to us. So carry on. Good luck. Hopefully everybody's doing well and healthy, and be good.
Yeah.
Be good. Be good to the missus.
All right. Now on to the fantasy hockey.
All right.
Folks, if you're listening to the podcast, you likely found us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or through our partners, the In This League Fantasy Podcast Network or the Grandstand Sports Network. Hopefully you subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, or whatever app you use. And please don't forget to submit your reviews of the podcast on iTunes and these other sites you may use. We have a bunch of new listeners this year. We enjoyed the feedback, and we're happy to mention you on the show. And Brian, I haven't checked the iTunes ratings, but I'm kind of excited to see if we can
our subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe theory.
Yeah.
Not my theory. Again, I'm just putting it into practice. So
I like
subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Yeah, what the hell? We'll see if we can't game the system. Also, make sure you listen to the show. I mean, that's also helpful.
Yes, very much so.
I think we provide a pretty good service, and loyal listeners understand that. So even if you don't want to hear me babbling at the top about the All-Star game or my latest like old man yelling at clouds type thing, you just want to get to the Sunday streamers, that's fair too. I get it.
All right. Good Lord.
All right, Tone, guess what? All-Star break, but we still have a few people that had questions.
And we have answers.
You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
I can handle it.
Hey-o.
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right.
Quickly.
Our question this week is a fun one. I think you're going to like this.
Oh.
It comes from JB, and he is in a 16-team league. It counts hits, blocks, shots on goal, points, and penalty minutes. One of his other league mates is convinced that he made a fair offer to JB, and JB wants our take on it. All right? Okay. JB gives up Brock Besser and Philip Forsberg.
Okay. Wow.
And in return, he gets Joel Edmondson and Ryan Kessler. And JB adds that he needs no defensive help.
Wait.
Would that matter?
Wait, let's go ahead and read that again just to make sure that.
All right. JB gives up Brock Besser and Philip Forsberg.
Yeah.
And in return, he gets Joel Edmondson, and Ryan Kessler.
Okay, so he's not getting Philip Besser and Brock Forsberg, two randos. It's actual like Brock Besser and Philip Forsberg, all-stars, two of the best young players in hockey.
Yep.
And he's going to receive Joel Edmondson and Ryan Kessler.
Now listen.
I mean, I would hit accept quickly. I mean, run to the bank with that one, huh?
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Oh my God. Like, what is this guy thinking?
It had to be a joke, right? It had to be a joke.
No, he's deadly serious. In fact, the other guy told him, he's like, send it into the show because they're going to back me up.
What show? Our show?
I know.
Does the other guy listen?
Apparently not. All I'm thinking is like,
joke. This has to be Comedy Hour.
Because of hits, blocks, and penalty minutes. Hits, blocks, and penalty minutes. All right. Joel Edmondson. All right. So he gets you those peripherals. But all the points that those other guys score in a 16-team league, like, come on.
I wouldn't trade one of those guys for the other two, let alone both of them. And that's such a bad offer. I don't even counter and I don't even comment on when I reject it. It's insulting is what it is. And if it's not a joke, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Maybe it's because Joel Edmondson has 6 goals and 9 assists.
That is huge. That's huge. Somewhere. Wow. So, folks, please remember, we are getting into the silly season of trade offers when people may pick up on your desperation if you're out of it, or maybe you're a fringe bubble playoff team, or maybe you're out there and you're putting out feelers for hoping that you can get some keepers or whatever it is. But just out of courtesy to your league mates, don't be that guy or girl, please. Just don't be. Don't be. You're smarter than that. You're better than that. It's a waste of time. We all got a million commitments in life. The last thing you want to do is be like, oh, you have a trade offer from Jim Bob's salvage yard.
Jim Bob Cooter.
Great. All right. Well, who is it? And then this is what comes over the email. And it's like, that's hilarious. Hey, Jim, I got your trade offer. Funny stuff. That wasn't funny. I was serious. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Even if you gain in hits, blocks, and penalty minutes, you're still losing in shots on goal and points.
There's zero. No, there's no statistical analysis that needs to happen here.
What I just want to defend our position a bit because I know we're going to get an email. All right.
Let that email come.
So,
you let it come.
So even if you do gain in those 3 categories, those 3 categories are the easiest categories to stream and make up. I mean, points and shots on goal are not.
You could in a 16-team league, I can still go find guys off the waiver wire
absolutely
each week to stream for those positions as my 4th or 5th defenseman to get me the same categories as these guys. And what you're losing out of Besser and Forsberg cannot be made up by 2 schmoes like Joel Edmondson and a post-injury Ryan Kessler. GTFO with that trade.
All right. I think we've razzed on this poor guy enough. I think it's time to move on.
He deserves it.
He does. He does deserve it. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to say anymore. I guess it's time to move along, Brian.
It is.
Along. All right. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about the draft app since it's like on
you know what?
fire.
You don't have to deal with crappy trade offers when you're doing DFS, that's for sure. And so you fantasy sports fans out there, listen up. Did you know that your chances of winning on draft are 80% better than on salary cap sites? That's why you need to try Draft. No more getting crushed by the pros. More than 1 million people have already downloaded Draft. Play in real live NHL drafts right now, be done in under 5 minutes, and get paid out the next day. Drafts are filling every second, so you can join one whenever you want. You're sitting in the car, stuck during your commute, do one. Lunch hour, do one. Smoke break, do one. Bathroom break, you can do one. Kids are taking a nap, do one. Waiting for your kids after practice, you can do one. It really is that simple. And
it really is.
Tone, all new players, guess what? They can gain free entry into a real money draft right now when they make their first deposit, but they have to use the promo code NHL Roto. That's right, playing a real money draft for free just by using the promo code NHL Roto. But it gets better. Draft is so sure that you'll love the app that they're even offering Roto Hockey Show listeners a money-back guarantee of up to $100. Just search Draft in your app store or go to draft.com and come play free right now with the promo code NHL Roto.
All right. You told them about the Draft app. We got some fun stuff out of the way. Now we get to the most depressing part of our segment, injury news.
There was a bad one last night, too.
Oh, you're going to have to talk about the one last night. I can't even do it. I can't.
You can do it. Come on.
Terrible.
Your boy.
Terrible. I know. I'm just going to go in order.
All right.
We're going to start in Anaheim with John Gibson. Unspecified injury to his lower body. He was drilled he was drilled by a shot in the chest from Patrice Bergeron. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen what goaltenders wear. If you get hurt in the chest by a shot, like that's got to be pretty darn hard.
Yeah.
Because I mean, those things you get shot in those things and be fine. So he's day to day. Watch out for that. He did not skate today. Next up, Charlie McAvoy, heart. He was on the ice for some skating and shooting Monday, but he's still on the IR after having that treatment for an abnormal heart rhythm. Surgery for that. All right, Nathan McKinnon, upper body, not available to play tomorrow against Edmonton. He's not on the IR, considered day-to-day. That's an injury to watch because Nathan McKinnon and that Mikko Rantanen line has been on fire.
It doesn't look good. I mean, that's pure shoulder, and you could tell it's either a broken collarbone or it looks like it's going to be just a really bad separated shoulder, like AC joint type deal. I mean, that could be, it depends. I doubt it's like a 2-month, 3-month thing, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's a 4 to 6 weeker.
Let's hope it's not a broken clavicle.
I don't know. I mean, obviously that's going to be X-ray dependent. It just, the way that he hit, it just looks like, and he hit my boy, Alex Edler, too. I feel bad that 2 of our favorite fantasy hockey players over the past month had to be involved in an injury like that. But, yeah, I mean, just en fuego. And now he's gone, and you're going to have to find a replacement for him, which, how do you replace someone who's playing at that level right now? I mean, top 10 fantasy performer over the past month, number 1 or number 2. And just lights out, and now he's out of your lineup. So condolences to those of you who are going to have to try to make the playoffs with no McKinnon in your roster.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick is on the IR with an undisclosed injury. He was dealing with a nagging injury. That's why he missed the All-Star game.
They seem to think he might be back.
They think he might be back Thursday. We'll see. I'm not convinced. Yeah. You'll see in my ad drops why. But if he's back, my ad drops for goaltenders are going to look terrible.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think they might have talked about sending the one. I think they had Campbell was up. I think they talked about sending him back down. So,
yeah. Well, you just have to watch and see.
Right.
See what happens. Philip Forsberg did not play Tuesday night against the Blackhawks, but he's been skating with a non-contact jersey in practice. So look for him to return quick within the next week or so, hopefully. So that trade looks even worse. Joe Thornton is on the IR for the San Jose Sharks. No timetable for his return, and the Sharks are fighting for a playoff spot without Joe Thornton. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Last but not least, one of our favorite defensemen on this show, at least one I enjoy watching play, Jacob Trouba, Michigan College alum. He's on the IR, set to miss 6 to 8 weeks because of his lower body injury. And Adam Lowry has actually been activated. So there you go. That's really it for the big injury news. I mean, that's kind of crappy. Nathan McKinnon, man, that's just so bad.
Just a rough one. I mean, you don't want to see anybody hurt, and you certainly don't want to see, I mean, we're talking about fantasy hockey, so you don't want to see players that are contributing to your roster hurt, and you certainly don't want to see the guys atop your roster, really the I don't know, the stalwarts, the guys that are doing all the guys doing the heavy lifting for your team each week and that are pushing you over the edge. It's painful. So it's going to test a lot of you Nathan McKinnon owners out there. Hopefully you can withstand the injury. You have to be pretty savvy over the next few weeks, make some shrewd moves, deal from points of strength. shore up your forward ranks. Again, sometimes for those of you in more shallow leagues, you can look to some of the streakier players that have been playing well over the past week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and kind of ride those hot streaks and hope that you just are getting those players at the right time. So listen to what we've been saying maybe go back and listen to the past couple Roto Hockey Show episodes and say, okay, who are some of the guys that Tony and Brian recommended to pick up? Who are some of the guys they recommend to keep an eye on? Those are the types of guys. Maybe they're still unknown in your league, and you can snag someone while they're still on a hot streak to make up for a loss of someone like McKinnon.
Listen, for you, I don't know about you, but for me, if I'm solidly locked into a playoff spot right now, right, and I've got an IR spot open, I'm going to look to see what I can trade to get Nathan McKinnon. I would definitely be looking to add now.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad
and I'll bet you don't have to give up. I'll bet you don't have to give up nearly as much as you think. And especially if
those X-rays, or MRIs are really going to be important. You're going to have to wait for that to come in. I wouldn't make an offer before I saw that.
Okay, there we go.
Because he might not be back till, we're going into week 17 of the fantasy hockey season. Playoffs start week 22, so you've got 5 weeks. So if that's going to be an 8-week injury, then that's not very good for fantasy hockey.
No. All right. That's it for the player news. Let's move on to everybody's favorite segment, Sunday Streamers.
It's back after a 1-week hiatus.
It's back.
All right, Tim.
All right. This Sunday, man. Let's talk about this Sunday. I'm going to let you talk about Sunday, Brian, since it's your day.
It is my day, and I'm a nervous wreck over it. I'll tell you that much. I didn't even mention it last show. I know.
You didn't want to jinx it.
I didn't want to jinx it. Well, I mean, no, because we had recorded afterwards, so it was okay at that point. I was still so tired from that previous Sunday that I didn't mention it. But I have been for 30 years a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, even though I grew up in Western New York. Don't ask. And I was at the NFC Championship game, one of the top 5 sporting events I've ever been to. It was bonkers.
Wait. How did you end up at that NFC Championship game, Brian?
This is like, I met the Craigslist killer. And I sat next to him, and I got a ticket. I totally got a ticket off Craigslist from some rando guy, and he turned out to be awesome. Amazing. Yeah, I have like a new best friend, and I'm still here I wasn't murdered. I got to see a great game, and yeah, there was no hijinks or shenanigans involved in me getting that ticket. It was all on the
no canoodling expected.
No, none. I mean, I might have I'm kidding.
I can't.
I might have bought him a beer. Anyway, I got to go to that game. So this Sunday, also known everywhere in the world as Super Bowl Sunday or Superb Owl.
There you go. I like that. Superb Owl.
Yes.
Now, did you get a Super Bowl ticket?
I did not. I am going to watch it. I can't. I don't think I could go to the Super Bowl if my team ran it. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I'm not. Who the hell wants? No offense, Minnesota. It seems like a great state to go to in the summer. I would not want to be there in the middle of winter. If I'm going to deal with those conditions, I'm going to be skiing, and I'm not going to just want to wander around Minneapolis. You put the Super Bowl in Miami or New Orleans or San Diego, then I'll reconsider my stance on attending the Super Bowl.
Well, you'd probably have to sell your house in order to afford a ticket, but
yeah, minimum 4 just to
get in the door,
get inside. Yeah, that's a steep price.
It is. But you're not giving Minnesota enough credit. Tell me you wouldn't want to be in Minnesota for the high school hockey championships.
I don't care enough. I mean, it's cool. It's cool, and I mean that's
a bucket list item.
That's a pretty cool barn too. I mean, XL Energy Center seems like a pretty cool barn, and obviously how huge high school hockey is in Minnesota. I mean, just massive, but not something that's on a bucket list for me.
That's me. It's on my bucket list. I like it. All right. Let's get back to
Super Bowl Sunday. Only 3 games this Sunday, Tone. So not a normal huge slate, but some games nonetheless. We have San Jose is going to be in Carolina visiting the Hurricanes. Ottawa will be visiting Montreal, and Vegas will be in Washington visiting the Capitals. So if you need some points, Tone, where are you going to go for Sunday's games?
All right. Full disclosure, I put this in before he got hurt. I'm looking at Paul Byron, 3% owned. He is playing center on the top line in Montreal with Deneau out. He's also on the second unit power play. In his last 9 games, he's got 3 goals and 8 points. He's that little speedster guy. He's got 13 goals on the season so far. And last year, he showed he's capable of scoring 20 goals. Ottawa is a pretty terrible team. And I think he could have a nice game playing against Mike Condon. So Paul Byron, if he plays, is somebody I would be looking to add if you're looking for points. What about you?
I am looking at Noah Hannafin. I know we usually go with forwards here, but Hannafin playing well in the 2 games prior to the All-Star break with a goal and 3 assists. He's also chipping in a bunch of shots on goal. And to be honest, I like that he just got to participate in his own, his first ever All-Star game. And back home, I'm sure the fans are going to give him a good kind of round of applause for welcoming back their lone representative of the All-Star game, and that he should be playing well this week. And again, you've got a Carolina team that I think is a little better at home, and they're going to be taking on San Jose. Again, you get one of those cross-country teams traveling 3 time zones to the East Coast for a Sunday game. And I don't know. I tend to like East Coast teams when they have these types of games on the weekend, particularly Sunday. I think, what time is that game? Is that a matinee? Because that obviously is always helpful. Why is it not? I hate. Just so you know, I hate the Google. Such a pain in the ass.
Well, I will say this for Carolina. We know how well they are at generating shots, and they generate a ton. San Jose is not exactly the best team at stopping that. Yeah. So that always helps. Hannafin's on that second power play unit with Skinner, Rask, Williams, and and Slavin. And honestly, I don't think that unit is any worse than the top unit. They're pretty interchangeable in my mind.
Yeah, you've got a couple teams like that, and that definitely is one of them. And I did finally bring it up. It is a matinee game. All 3 games are matinee games. So I knew 2 of them were. I did not know the third one was. So it's Super Bowl Sunday. Get your lineups in early. Then you can go pig out, watch the Super Bowl after you get your lineups in. A 12:30 game in Washington. Then the other 2 games are 1 o'clock. So eat your breakfast on Sunday. Get your Sunday streamer set the lineup. Go about your day. But yeah,
this is
San Jose, 1 p.m.
This is like betting that football line. You always bet against the West Coast teams playing 1 o'clock games on the East Coast. Yeah. They're like 2 and 73 or something crazy.
Nuts.
So, all right.
Go ahead. What's up next?
All right. Penalty minutes. We got penalty minutes, and I went to that Carolina game. Justin Williams, 18% owned. Wow. He's got 21 penalty minutes in the last month. That's in his last 10 games.
What's up with that? He's really salty.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, he had a 17-minuter in there, so that was quite a big game. But he also has been pretty hot lately. He's got 2 goals and 5 points in his last 5 games. So, maybe you don't get the PIMs, but you get some points. Well, maybe you don't get the points, you get some PIMs.
I don't know. He was on the Kings.
He's one of those guys.
He was on the Kings long enough that he could have a little bit of history with some of the guys still remaining in San Jose. Those rivalries, even though you're not on the same division opponent, but certainly guys that you've had to play hard against as a divisional opponent and in the playoffs. That stuff runs deep. So
absolutely. All right. So where are you going?
I'm going with Brooks Orpik, just because I know that Tom Wilson's the easy choice here, but
35% owned Tom Wilson.
Higher owned, and obviously that's something that a lot of people know about. So yeah. Anyway, Brooks Orpik, his teammate, is also in the top 10 overall in penalties this year. Washington is a top 10 in penalties taken this year and penalty minutes. So I do like this matchup that they're going to be going against a very good, very fast Vegas team. And you have someone like Orpik, very physical, maybe earns himself a penalty trying to intimidate the new kids from Vegas. They've obviously have some young guns, and one way to slow them down is to kind of play a little more physical, be a little more aggressive with them. So, and like you talk about with Justin Williams and some of these other guys, Orpik, as we know, also good for chipping in some blocks, which are going to be needed against that Vegas offense.
And Brooks Orpik, too, is another one of those guys where he's not exactly the fleetest of foot, and you got a fast Vegas team.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a ton of fighting majors. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 on the year. Most of his penalties are all minors, and he takes a lot of them because he's slow. He gets his stick in there, a lot of trips, hooks, things like that. So I think that's a solid pick. Why don't you go for hits since
yes, this is an easy one. An easy. Oh, you do. Nice. All right. Well, I am going with former Buffalo Sabre Nick Delorier of the Montreal Canadiens. Now only 1% owned, easily leading Montreal in hits, and in his past 10 games, Tone, 52 hits. He's got a couple 7-hit games. He has an 8-hit game in there. So again, you take the Ottawa, Montreal, one of those Canadian, I don't even want to call it a rivalry because it really isn't. But I think you get anytime you have 2 Canadian teams playing against each other, I think the attention gets ratcheted up a little bit. So Delorier just been running around like a maniac lately. And the Habs, Tone, 2nd overall in the NHL in hits per game. Who knew?
Yeah. Well, they don't have the puck a ton. But you have to give Delorier credit. He has played really well lately. Claude Julien's rewarding him. He's skating with Galchenyuk and Drouin on the second line.
Hey, I will say this. When he was in Buffalo, he would have stretches where he looked good. He was always a fiery guy. Has been a solid skater, but just kind of one of those tweeners that was not quite a third liner, not quite a fourth liner, typically put onto the fourth line, and then you're skating with other fourth liners. And during Nick's career in Buffalo, those were some really crappy Sabre teams. So you can imagine what the talent level of those fourth liners is, even the third liner. So it's not like he's skating on a wing with Ryan O'Reilly or Jack Eichel or Reinhardt or anyone like that, or Tyler Ennis back in the day.
No.
And he was down there plumbing the depths with like Johan Larsson and not even Brian Giunta. I mean, that would have been an upgrade for him over the years when some of those lineups. But
I tell you what, he's looked really good when he's played. He's definitely the energy guy on that line. He's definitely an energy guy anyway. But a part of me wonders if Julien puts him out there with Drouin and Galchenyuk just because the season's not going so well, and maybe he needs to stop guys from taking a few liberties with them. So next up, we have my pick for hits. And like I said, this is a 2-for-1. I'm going to go same guy, hits, blocks. Braden McNabb of the Vegas Golden Knights is my choice. He's only 14% owned. He's got 129 hits and 111 blocks on the season. He is a hits and blocks machine. I look at this team.
We're going with like 3 former Sabres in this. It's great.
Yeah, well,
Byron Delorier and Braden McNabb. Nice.
And McNabb is a local guy to Vegas too. So
yes.
So Vegas is on the road at Washington. I also see Tom Wilson on the other side, so it wouldn't surprise me if McNabb ended up with a few penalty minutes either.
Yeah.
Like I said, Washington shoots the puck quite a bit. I mean, any penalties that Vegas takes, McNabb's going to be out there, and he's going to have Obi to deal with, lots of shots to block. So I like his chance for hits, and I really like his chances for blocks. So 2-for-1 special, Braden McNabb, hits and blocks. All right. Give me your blocks.
My block guy for this Sunday, you just mentioned a little while ago, Montreal not having the puck a lot. So I'm going to go with Carl Alzner of the Canadiens, only 1% owned. Carolina, third most shots on goal in the league this year. And Alzner, over the past 2 weeks, 20 block shots in 6 games, which is tied for second in the NHL during that span. So someone obviously accustomed to getting in front of a few pucks, and they're going to need that on Sunday in that game. And I said Carolina, and they're playing Ottawa.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I was like, where does Ottawa sit?
Yeah, really. What the hell? Who cares about Carolina? Like, all of that still stands for Montreal.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. This game is going to be a disaster to watch, believe me.
It doesn't sound like it'll be good.
No, I don't have high hopes.
Yeah.
Don't have high hopes.
Yeah. Shots on goals. Shots taken. Let's see.
Ottawa can't be that great.
No, it's pretty poor. It's actually bottom 5 of the league.
It doesn't matter. Alzner looks like buried in his own end every single time he gets out there. I swear to you, it's going to be a long 5 years.
Okay. Good times.
All right. Now, next up, we got goaltenders for the weekend. There's only 2 teams, though, playing back-to-back, and it's those aforementioned Ottawa Senators and Montreal Canadiens.
Okay.
Ottawa is at Philly and then at Montreal, and Montreal's got Anaheim and Ottawa at home.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves you with choosing between Mike Condon or Antti Niemi.
I'm going to go with option C, which is none of the above.
Listen, if you got to pick a guy to win, I'm taking Niemi. Yeah, I'm taking Niemi. I don't want Condon on the road, even though it's one of those.
Both those teams are such a mess right now that
I know.
I guess. I mean,
the only reason I would say Condon at all is because it's one of those revenge games.
Okay,
because he was a Canadian. I guess
I'll take Montreal at home on Ottawa coming. Because here's the only thing. You have Montreal at home. It's a matinee game. Ottawa has to play at Philly the night before and then fly to Montreal and then play at 1:00, unless they have a matinee in Philly on Saturday.
No, I don't believe that's the case. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a good choice.
Just a little, kind of coming off a game that's going to be against a tough Philly team, playing physical, getting out of plane, short rest. All that stuff that goes along with it, and that's the last thing you want to be dealing with. It is a matinee game, so the NHL didn't screw them over too much. But still, on the road, having to deal with all the logistics of travel, getting out of Philly, getting to Montreal, getting settled, getting in your hotel room, unpacking, getting ready for the game, blah blah blah. So
yeah, I mean, it's not great. I mean.
No.
1:00 game, I suppose. It's still. Oh, yeah. But then they're in Montreal for Saturday night. Let's just keep that,
Well, that's also true. You get in on time. All right. Hey, listen, I'm grasping at straws here for why I would ever want to use Antti Niemi. This is the depths that it goes. I am like making up travel issues that I was like, well, like Mike Condon, he's got to get through Enterprise Rent-A-Car and get his equipment stored, and that's really some issues for him.
All right. Let's talk about ad drops for week 18 of the fantasy hockey season, February 5th through the 11th. Brian, 15 teams.
Week 17. Sorry.
No, week 18's next week.
I thought we were in week 17.
Oh, week 17. Whatever. Fine. Week 17/18.
So confusing.
February 5th through the 11th.
Yes, that's correct. You have the dates correct.
15 teams. Half the league have 4 games. Montreal and Florida only play 2.
Yes.
All right. You're looking to add somebody for next week.
Yep.
You're looking for a forward.
Yep.
Where are we looking?
I'm going to go with right before the All-Star game, I said to keep this guy on your radar. And
so good lately.
Kyle Okposo is that man. And so now I'm adding him. He's up to 24% owned. He scored another goal after I talked about keeping him on the radar. Still playing on the Eichel line. His time on ice has increased. He played almost 23 minutes the other night against the Devils. Didn't register a point in that game, but still, again, prime power play time, skating with Eichel. Eichel, the number 1 rated fantasy hockey player over the past week, and the Sabres 4 games this week. And the news out of Buffalo today was that they were moving Evander Kane onto that line. So you're going to have Evander Kane, Jack Eichel, Kyle Okposo for this week. So you get 4 games potentially next week with that line combination if Housley keeps it through the weekend.
I listen, I'm not complaining at all. I think that works out well, and you'll see why a little bit later on. But for me, up front, I'm looking at Adam Henrique. He's been really good lately.
On fire lately, yeah.
19% owned. That's it. He's 6 goals, 8 points, and 14 shots on goal in his last 6 games. He's centering the third line with Nick Ritchie and Case. All right. But he's also getting top power play unit time. Anaheim plays Monday, Tuesday, then Friday, Sunday, which means you get 3 off nights, which is huge because your Sundays, your ads for the next week, most of the time they're not going to take a spot from one of your marquee players.
Right.
So you want guys that are going to play on off nights, and Adam Henrique with the Anaheim Ducks, he does, and he's been really, really good.
That's a great ad, Tone. I like that a lot.
I like it.
For my defensive player ad, I'm going to go with the guy I talked about for my Sunday streamers, Noah Hannafin, 19% owned. So if you add him for Sunday, not only do you get him that, but then you get him for 3 more games the rest of the week. And again, I talked about he had his first All-Star game. And another little nugget that I like, at 19% owned, I think he's very much under-owned, and there is a chance that you could be in a keeper league where he is available. And if that's the case, especially if your team's out of it, he is definitely keeper worthy and someone that you should speculatively add, not only for how he's playing now, but in hopes that his value continues to climb the rest of the year, and that you may have kind of a little diamond in the rough come the offseason. Now, I know that there are some keeper leagues, Tone. We do these questions all the time on the show year round about guys trying to whittle down their keepers to 3 or 4 or 5 guys. And yeah, Noah Hannafin may not make the cut there, but there are also bigger keeper leagues that allow you to roster more players. There are certainly, I would expect that Noah Hannafin is owned in 100% of dynasty leagues. So that's probably not an issue. So, but definitely check your settings, see if that's a possibility, see if it's someone you can't sneak in. Maybe he gets hot and plays great over the rest of the year. He's obviously one of the I'd like to think he's still an elite prospect. Wouldn't you? I know he hasn't played like.
He's still young.
Yeah. Hey, I think there's still time for development there. I mean, he came into the league at so young. And again, I think he's kind of scratching the surface of how good he can be. Yeah.
He's only 22, 23. He's totally fine, and he's been really good. Remember, Justin Falk eats up a lot of power play time there. And frankly, the way that he's played this year, you know what? Hannafin might be taking over sooner rather than later. So, All right, my defensive ad, Esa Lindell. I talked about him last week, 23% owned of the Dallas Stars. He's got 1 goal, 3 assists in his last 4 games, and in his last 3 games, he's skating over 24 minutes a night. Gets second unit power play time in Dallas, but he is skating with Klingberg on the top pairing. So
nice.
You got a guy like Klingberg that can move the puck and is kind of the quarterback out there, whether it's the power play or not. And then you get a guy like Lindell who's got good offensive vision and seems to be finding spots to get open. I really like the way he's been playing, and he's another defenseman that you should really be taking a look at moving forward in deep dynasty leagues and definitely keeper leagues. I would be watching out for this kid because he is really talented and really good. Now we got goaltenders. What do you have for your goalie ad?
My goalie ad this week, kind of surprising, but I am going with Peter Mrazek of the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit Red Wings. Wow. I'm proud of myself for catching that the split second it came out and not letting you make the joke.
It was coming. It was coming so fast.
Oh, phrasing right there. That's a phrasing. That's a big time phrasing out of you.
Wow.
Peter Mrazek, in his 4 starts this month, including the past 3 games leading up to the All-Star game. And he's starting right now, and I'll give you kind of an update about his stats for tonight. But leading up to tonight, his past 3 games, 4 games in the month, only 4 goals against. 2 of those have been shutouts. He has some tough games upcoming. Later this week, Boston, Washington, and the Islanders. So obviously some good offenses. I think 4 out of their next 5 are also on the road. So be wary of that. But again, I think most people looking for goaltenders, you can't be too picky. You know what I mean? And tonight they have the San Jose Sharks at home, and they are currently in overtime. And Peter Mrazek has only given up 1 goal on 31 shots. So kind of continuing where he had left off prior to the All-Star game. So another solid start. So out of his past 5 starts, 5 goals allowed.
There you go. That's great. The goaltending situation in Detroit is an enigma wrapped in whatever. Yeah, it's
for
just
2 years.
ridiculous.
For 2 years now, it has been.
You can't figure out. One of them gets hot, one of them tanks, and then it switches on a dime.
I mean, the end of 3 seasons ago, Mrazek looked great at the end of the year. You come into the offseason, he looks terrible. Jimmy Howard's playing lights out and then gets injured again. Mrazek is mediocre. Howard gets his job back and then gets injured again. He has the job coming into this year because Mrazek's so shaken, couldn't steal the job back. And now, again, Howard falters a little. Mrazek picks up and now is playing well. Again, ride the hot hand while you can. He looks like he's going to be the goalie, at least for the immediate future. I mean,
there you go. I like Peter Mrazek. That's a pretty good ad. I've got Darcy Kemper of the Los Angeles Kings, 21% owned. He's given up 2 or less goals in his last 3 games, including a shutout versus Dallas in his last game.
That's impressive.
He's filling in for Jonathan Quick. We don't know for sure if he's coming back on Thursday or not. That would be tomorrow. We're recording this on Wednesday. So just keep an eye out for that. If Quick comes back, obviously you're not going to add Kemper. But if Quick is going to be out longer, then Kemper has got to be added. He has been so good lately, and that Los Angeles Kings team is really relying on him. So Darcy Kemper is where I'm headed. Now we've got players to keep an eye on.
Yes. I'm going to go for a twofer here. There are 2 gentlemen on the St. Louis Blues that I like, and both very low owned. And we're talking about Patrick Berglund. I'll get to him first. A goal, 3 assists in the past 2 weeks. 3 points. 3 of those points have come on the power play over St. Louis's past 4 games. As we know, he's been a streaky player in the past, and this could be definitely the start of a good run for him. And someone that has contributed in some of the peripheral stats as well. And he is centering the 3rd line there, but getting some power play run. I just like where he's at right now. And again, if kind of this dies down and he's back to maybe an assist and not much else, then you move on. But I like the fact that he is getting special teams time. With what he's on the 2nd power play unit with Stastny, Thompson, Pietrangelo, and Parayko. Pietrangelo and Parayko on the 2nd unit, which brings me to my 2nd player here. My twofer is the young defenseman in St. Louis, Vince Dunn, who has been thrust into a remarkable role for a young player, but is quarterbacking the top power play unit along with Jaden Schwartz, Braden Shen, Alex Steen, and Vlad Tarasenko. Talk about a prime opportunity for a young player. And he has put up a decent amount of stats. He's only 1% owned, but on the season, 4 goals, 7 assists. Had been down in the minors, and since his return, a goal and 3 assists in 6 games and 2 points on the power play. And in one of those games, 7 shots on goal from Mr. Dunn.
Unreal. How you land in that position, as a defenseman like that, like
just
Good for you, pal.
Mike Yeo has put him in a great position to succeed, and as long as he continues to play like this, then I think you're gonna see him continue to be there, because now it gives the horses of Pietrangelo and Parayko a little. They can go to that second unit, give that a little some more teeth, give them a little more rest, that they don't have to be out there carrying the load on all of those. So I think the position that he's in right now is pretty solid. And what did he do yesterday against?
You know who I thought you were going to say was playing defense on that top line?
Hoobie.
Joel Edmondson.
I wish I would have said that. I'm mad I didn't think of it. That I didn't come up with another app being Joel Edmondson.
It's okay.
Oh, man.
Oh, all right. I'll get to my ad.
I'm still mentally on I'm in a mental all-star break. I brought up a Carolina stat for Ottawa earlier. Leave me alone.
It happens to the best of us, believe me.
All right. Who are you keeping an eye on?
I am going to your Buffalo Sabres and somebody that you shat on all the time.
I did.
Sam Reinhart, 21% owned. 3 goals, 7 points in his last 6 games. First power play unit, power play time, and on a line with Ryan O'Reilly, that second line. Now, they're also with, was it Scott Wilson, I think? But O'Reilly and Reinhart seem to have found some chemistry. Like, I don't know what's going on with these two, but they've looked really good together. And he just keeps getting better the more playing time they give him. Each time he's on the ice, he looks dangerous. So Sam Reinhart is somebody I would definitely be keeping an eye on. If he can, keep up this pace or even something remotely close to it, he'd be a real valuable fantasy piece moving forward. And for those of you that lost McKinnon, he's the type of guy that you want to look for. So Sam Reinhart, like I said, 21% owned. Brian, when's the last time you've watched a Sabres game?
Columbus Day weekend, Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been.
Maybe it's time to come back.
I think I accidentally tuned in. Oh, who were they playing right before the All-Star break? Was it that game against Edmonton that they won? That could have been.
You accidentally tuned in like you accidentally ate that cheeseburger.
No comment.
All right. Who are you dropping?
Oh, this one hurts, Tone.
Don't say it.
I have to. I know. Because it's come to that point. And I had to do it in another league, and so I figured if I'm going to do it for one of my own teams, then I can recommend it for others. And it's Boris Saad.
Yeah.
Brendan Saad of the Chicago Blackhawks, 71% owned, and I'm not quite sure what people are holding on to. What I was holding on to, I owned him. Big believer in Brendan Saad, but again, my team needs offense. I needed starts. The guy is just not producing right now.
Nope.
And when Nick Schmaltz and Alex DeBrincat and Vinny Huzinostra are outperforming you, then it's time to go. And Saad, 6 goals in October, looked great out of the chute. But since then, just pretty much just mediocrity. 3 goals in November, 3 in December, and most of those were early in the month. 1 goal in January. Just not a good trend out of Saad as the year has gone on. And again, right at the end of December, that's when he got his 3rd goal, and that's when he got his 1st goal in January. It looked like he was going to turn it around. 2 goals, 4 assists in the 4 games right around the New Year's Eve, New Year start of January. But he is in a complete drought since then. 9 games, make it 10 without a point. And if you look at his career, he's historically a worse player in the second half. In fact, February throughout his career has been his worst statistical month. So I'm off the wagon.
Can you believe that Anthony Duclair is now playing with Jonathan Taves and Saad? If things are going to turn around for Saad, it's going to happen now that he's playing with Patrick Kane a lot more.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at Kane and Schmaltz. Saad is definitely the defensive presence on that line. I guess I don't know. Whatever Quenneville's doing, I mean, he's a smarter guy than I am. So
yeah.
Maybe it happens, but like you said, second half, he has been hot garbage. So I am dropping a favorite of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Jake Gensel. He's 61% owned. He has 2 points. He had 2 goals in his last 12 games. He's only got 19 shots on goal in that time. He's moved down to the third line in the second power play unit. Since he got booted from the Crosby line, he just has not looked the same. He's kind of playing that third line center role. I mean, that's what he's playing. He's taken over the Jordan Stahl role, kind of. So he's not scoring. I'm dumping him. I have no qualms about it. I know that I've dropped him already in a few leagues. So Jake Gensel is out the door. Any thoughts on that, Brian?
No, I mean, you look at a few guys that have disappointed in Gensel. Maybe just the expectations were too high for him based on last year and what he did in the playoffs. I mean, we talked about it playoff time last year, and two of the biggest. We did a podcast during the playoffs last year, kind of risers and fallers based on playoff performances. And if you recall, 2 of the top names on that list are 2 of the biggest disappointments this fantasy hockey season. And that has to be Jake Gensel and Leon Draisaitl. Mm-hmm. And I understand with Draisaitl, it was an injury at the beginning of the year, but that entire team outside of McDavid has been a disappointment. You can look at Cam Talbot, Oscar Klefbom, Lucic, some of the sleepers people had with like Ryan Strome, the Nuge didn't rebound, and Draisaitl, a very high pick this year, definitely not worth his weight, what it cost to get him. Gensel, again, not what people expected, and it just goes to show that Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Hornquist, Letang are driving that ship, and some of the other guys are obviously there for the ride, but interchangeable pieces. They don't hesitate to move guys in and out of those lines, and as long as the big boys are producing, they're going to be fine. And that's been kind of the secret to Pittsburgh's success.
It just goes to show you how valuable Sidney Crosby is and how he makes everyone around him better. It's unreal what he does.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
number one
way
player
that he
in
can.
hockey.
Well, yeah, it's not something that he's able to. He can't keep dragging you along all the time, right? He can do it for a certain amount of time, and I think that was Gensel last year. And
I don't know. He dragged Kunitz on for a long time.
Well, that's true. And maybe it's sophomore slump. Who knows what the reasons are why Gensel is not? But again, maybe it's just unreal expectations of Gensel, and based on a small sample size of second half of last year and the playoffs.
Okay, on to the Beer League Player of the Week, and so I don't screw up his name again for a third time on the podcast. Why don't you let everybody know who it is?
Oh, it's Brock Besser, your All-Star Game MVP. He had a great little week, and he's been playing outstanding. And I
won himself a car.
He did, and he gave it to his sister, which is awesome.
Oh, good for her.
I know, and he got himself a puppy too.
Did he really?
Yeah, he had a crazy week. It was he got $450,000 in contract bonuses, $125,000 in just All-Star Game payout, a new car, and a puppy.
You know what I learned this week about those All-Star bonuses?
Yes.
They count against Vancouver's cap, first of all. And second of all, the car does not count against the cap.
Interesting. Well, good thing it's a Honda. Well,
all right.
His sister's getting a very nice, reliable Honda Pilot.
She is. Well, congratulations, Brock.
So that's awesome. The Besser family, very happy, and a nice young and up-and-coming player in Brock Besser getting his due on the national stage. It's good to see.
Yes. All right, that's it. That's it. Folks, if you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you listen to us. And remember, you can find all of our shows and all of the other great ITL podcasts on the ITL homepage, inthisleague.com. Make sure you go check out what Bogman and the Welsh have got cooking up. They've got a ton of stuff going on. Also, don't forget to check out the Grandstand Sports Network. You can find our partners at www.grandstandsportsnetwork.com and on Twitter at grandstand_SN. You can support the podcast by becoming a patron of the show. Visit our page to see all the great extra benefits we give out to our generous donors. That's patreon.com/Roto Hockey Show. And depending on your level of support, this could include extra content and interaction with us, bonus podcasts, and exclusive Roto Hockey Show swag.
All right, folks, if you want to get your questions into the weekly listener mailbag, make sure that you're following us on Twitter and that you have our email addresses saved and written down. The Twitter address, @Roto Hockey Show. You can also follow Tony @T_LOC11, and you can follow me @NHL Roto. You want to shoot us an email, give us those in-depth trade questions, keeper league questions. It's that time of year. We love them. We're happy to do. The more the merrier, right, Tone?
Absolutely.
All right. So send us the emails, NHLRotoTony@gmail.com or NHLRotoBrian@gmail.com. That's all we got, Tone. Go Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly. Hopefully I'm a happy man next week. I'm going to have to take Valium before the Super Bowl on Sunday. It's been a very magical run for the Eagles this year. Unexpected that they're here. I was hoping they made the playoffs. They're in the Super Bowl. It's awesome. I feel like I have the entire country rooting for the Eagles alongside me, even though like there are a lot of people that hate the Eagles, but people hate the Patriots and Tom Brady more.
Way, way more. Listen, it's not even in the same stratosphere. I'm not a Philly sports guy at all, but Tom Brady and the Patriots are they're garbage to me.
The devil.
First, all I can say, Brian, is I'm pulling for you. I really am.
Everything that Robert Kraft, Tom Brady, and Bill Belichick represent is the opposite of what the Eagles represent. And I'm not going to get into that whole discussion. If you're going to pick which team to root for, make it the right one. Like I said,
I just don't like them because they're a Boston franchise, but that's besides the point. All I can say is I was watching this, and all I can think of is Nick Foles, the next Jeff Hostetler.
Jeff Hostetler, Doug Williams, and
quarterbacks.
Backup quarterbacks. Very few starts, regular season, won a Super Bowl. So I'll take it.
Yeah, I would. All right. Thanks. Everyone, enjoy the SB, and we'll talk to you about fantasy hockey next week.
Go Birds!